in between time, I got this done. I wasn't sure if it was going to rain today. Yes, this can use some cleaning up, and yes, it's going to get painted. It's really hard. I did all of this with everything in place, including this here, okay? So I'm probably just going to go over this with Kyle the file when we get back in here, and you know, I'll drape stuff around, tape stuff off, you know, paint it out. But here's what we have, nice and clean, welded, 1018, good and strong. We got a good adjustment on this. I could come back further. You know, I could make an adjustment back here, just drill the slot a little wider, and this bolt will come right over and miss that. So not too concerned. It's more of a idler wheel, like I said. We have that adjustment down there that's our big to go. Let's get that other mod I was squawking about. Alright, so the next part that we're going to be taking off is the air box and the carburetor. We'll get those over on the bench. Just take these off, take the filter out. There's like a plastic thing and a couple 10mm nuts. It's pretty self-explanatory as you go. Alright guys, as I'm taking this stuff apart, I try to keep it assembled and all together. The foam, the little plastic cage, everything's inside there. Reason being, AGK, affordable go-karts, they actually sell a foam that goes in these, and I haven't gotten one yet, but I'm assuming it's like this uni-filter foam. Alright, pre-filter kind of stuff. So might be something to try out if you're into the stock look. Okay, now you see why this fuel shutoff valve is so important. As soon as you get one of these, I advise you put one on, especially if you ever want to tinker with the carb. Nice and clean, just like that. Okay, this is the carburetor, and there's not a whole lot we're going to do with this stock one, but we're going to take our shot at jetting this manually. Let's open this thing up, get it out of there. Alright, a little bit different than the Honda carb. Alright guys, I believe the emulsion is still up inside of there, but the jet that we're going to be after is right there on the side. Flathead screwdriver, back it on out. Alright, I went down to Harbor Freight and got one of every micro bit that they sell. Now, there is a number that you use for this, or you can try to find this size, right? And then find the next one that won't exactly fit and start with that one. Okay, ideally we are looking for 0.8 millimeters. This pack says it has 5 of them. I went ahead and checked these, and the one that was closest was actually a little bit big. I checked it with the caliper, and well, it wasn't exactly what it said it was going to be. Alright, so I'm going to check one of these and hope we get a better result. Okay, that tiny little bit that's in there, alright, 31 thousandths. That's what we're looking for. Alright guys, this next part, I got the concept right there, in case you want to check it out. Okay, so what we've done is taken our drill bit and I've clamped it in the vise as straight as I can. I'm now going to take this tiny little jet, alright, and I'm going to line up the existing hole kind of like a pilot. Kind of funny how that works, huh? And then I'm going to use my fingertips and I'm going to work that thing down in there and through and try to be as straight as I can. And that should give us what we need. The sizes, guys, I got over at AGK. They have a chart over there, and if you can translate it and figure it out, you can find what you need. You're never gonna believe this, guys. We're through. Okay? I'm gonna back this thing back out. If you look down on the top of the vise, see the little shrapnel? That all came out of this jet. So, pretty cool little trick. Thanks, Luke. Make sure you blow it out good. And maybe hit it with a little carbon choke cleaner before you reinstall it back in your carburetor. Some of you may have noticed by now that scrupulous advertising from ombwarehouse.com and figured, what do they got to do with it? That gray goat, he's just that good, even when he's on vacation. Let me show you what I got. Okay, first up, guys, this is the ARC flywheel puller. Important tool to have when you're in these things. Not necessarily something we're going to use today, but in the future. Okay, now here's what we're after. This is the EC Carburetors Predator 79cc velocity stack. This serves as the billet adapter for our premium high performance air filter. Also, I got some fresh carburetor gaskets. All from OMB Warehouse, baby. The stock gasket up against the insulator still looks really nice, so I'm going to leave that one on. I'm going to put my carburetor on, hook my linkage right back up, just how it was. In case you were doing yours and you forgot, that's what it should look like. Next thing, we'll put on one of our new gaskets, and then our EC velocity stack. 10mm nuts. After that, we can very easily put our fuel line back on. Alright, when I was over at OMB Warehouse, I also remembered to get a breather filter for my valve cover. This thing's ready to go, guys.
Alright, might as well start with the hill climb.
Now I'm going to crack this egg. Alright, we're prepped for paint. Alright guys, I got this egg sealed back up. I have a video on that if you want to check it out. Otherwise, I'm moving on to these valve springs. Okay? This just has the stock jobs in it right now. We're going to pull those out and we're going to put stock 196 springs in there. I'm going to grab a couple things from the hardware store. Probably tomorrow. But just an old piece of coat hanger and a return spring. I mean, it's literally doing what it was supposed to do in the first place. Cool. Alright. Got our clone valve springs in there. Valve cover back on. Reason these are in, guys. If we reach any type of excess RPM, it won't be to some crazy excess due to valve spring. But those will help to keep the valves from floating. Alright? Very important in these motors. Especially where they like to produce power in the higher RPM ranges. You want to control that as much as you can. Well, guys, I was just washing the mud off this thing, and it ran out of gas. Let's give it the benefit of the doubt. Hope there's no water in anything, and see what happens. Maybe we're running out of gas up top, going up the hill or something. Thing's really low key, it's fun. Alright, we're getting up there. Jumped out the other side. Definitely going a little better. Around 3,000 RPM. Not really building much past that, you know what I'm saying? I kind of had an idea. At the same time, trying to save a couple bucks without ruining a motor, you know what I'm saying?
no matter how you look at it. Did this make an improvement? Yes. Is it going to make a bigger improvement? Yeah. You gotta wait. Woo!
Okay, my thoughts real quick. We're finally getting there. There's not much left that's different from this motor that's on this bike right now and the motor we first tested out. Okay? There's only two more things left. This one has the ARC flywheel and an AGK carb on it. Okay? And that's a reworked stock carb that they sell. And I'll tell you what, I don't recommend doing a governor removal and not doing a flywheel. Okay? This one is prepped for it. I did a full governor removal the same way I did on that motor prior in another video. It did not take me very long at all. As a matter of fact, it took more time to scrape off the crankcase gasket. So, is what it is. In this motor, I'm running the springs that were in my Tillotson 212R. This one, I'm running a pair of probably, they look like non-Hemi yellow springs that got painted at some point or someone bought them. I don't even know how I ended up with them, but they don't feel very heavy. 10.2s, maybe those little heavier 10.2s or something, like 12-pound springs or something. Nothing crazy. Alright, the reason I did this, guys, is this is being assembled for this torque converter. Okay? I'm not going to run this motor on the first bike. Just, I already have that. I have a jack shaft bike. This is going to be the torque converter bike. Alright? So, any modifications that we do make, I don't have expectations to exceed much more than 4,000, maybe 4,200 if we're lucky, RPM, something like that. It's kind of dogging right now, and I kind of know why, and I'm hoping that this is going to be the carburetor. Okay, I'm not gonna go and stick a a 19 or a 16 millimeter slide carb on this. It'll force too much fuel and air, and in all likelihood it'll pop the magnet off that flywheel. Alright, now I've heard of guys having success in removing the magnet and using epoxy to reattach the magnet and then set the screw again. Okay, but it's still a really thin flywheel, and I wouldn't trust it much past, stock capabilities. Maybe 5,000 is the number I'm hearing. I go around and I'm looking at a lot of forums, reading a lot of stuff from 4 or 5 years ago, and collecting as much information as I can, and I'm getting some magic numbers. Alright, the clone springs, guys, I like them. If you run the stock springs on these, can you get the RPMs up more? Yeah, we might try that on this one, but at the same time, I don't want to float the valves. If you're running high RPM all the time and you're floating those valves constantly, you're probably going to eventually bend the valve. It's just the way it is, alright? So, you got to prepare for those things. That's what we're going to try to do. But in the meantime, I'm going to get our other Predator 79cc back on Microbikology. If we can get outside tomorrow, have some fun, weather permitting. It's about that time, guys. You have a good night. Thanks for watching. And as always, it's a work in progress. Catch you on the next one, guys.